Hello, hello. All right, let me load everything up. I literally just finished reading. I'm on fucking fire. I don't even know whose reading I'm doing next. Isn't that crazy? Now I do know. Okay. Let's do this. Ooh, Lindsay, you are up. Lindsay. Lindsay. Let me just load up. Shit. And you already got the current astrology, so the only way to move up in my wait list is to get more than one reading. Although I'm gonna stop doing that, like I'm not gonna be doing. It's like I'm not gonna move people up as far as I've moved. I only did 2 people, but I'll move people up. Like I don't know, 10, 15 spots, something like 20 spots tops. I mean, depending on how many readings, right? Because if they spend I don't know what spending, but if they buy, get like 4 readings or something, a family reading, or like get like my astrocartography and then a compatibility and then like a current and then the birth chart. I'm gonna move you. I'm gonna move you up because you've shown your commitment to me and your belief in me, and you've spent money. Like plain and simple, you spend money and you've given me work, and I love that. And I don't run this like a business in the sense that I don't overcharge. I charge like literally the minimum of what I like could charge. Like it cracks me up because like you have 1 second. Should I get a cola? I've been on this like energy drink spree lately. It's kind of weird, and I didn't drink them for years, and then I just like started liking them. Maybe I'll like sip on one, not finish it. But yeah, I just think it's funny, like for a natal chart reading for me, like the level of healing you get, and then you compare it to like the price of a reading with me, like plus follow up is like literally like it's literally like the price of like less than like 2 therapists, like psychologist meetings. Like it's crazy to me. How much more you get out of I've been to a million therapists. Like I know how it works. I studied psychology 2 masters. Like it's insane. But I guess insurance covers a lot of that stuff. Whatever. Anyways, let's dive in. Have I hidden your last name? Or I'm gonna use your initials. I think that is what you said, right? And I had to look at some kind of notes or something. Yeah, read Squarespace notes. Okay. I already said your first name, but whatever. So go to let's see what we have going on here. Okay, here it is. What? Okay, gotcha. Okay, well, yeah, stuff I would cover regardless. Okay, so just so you know, when I do these readings, I like to just go in present mode for most of it. It's been way more beneficial. I have a ton of readings, and I like to lay back in this bean bag. And where my crystals go? They just ran away from me. Well, I was laying down over here on this couch before, but I like to just kind of like have these, like meditate and like lie down and walk around my apartment, lay in my bed, like just go do random shit. And I don't know, like I feel like it helps the readings. So the fact, and you have your follow up anyways. So like I sometimes like some readings I'll show my face more than others, but yeah. And here's a little cat action. Anyways, okay, so yeah, let's go ahead and share the screen. Yeah, so it's just better. Just better. So LM. Okay, so we have a Cap rising with a Sun in Taurus and a Moon Aries in Pisces. So similar to the chart I just did. This happens every time, so I'm not surprised. But she was actually yeah, never mind. Yeah, more Taurus energy in the 5th house. North Node, and you get the Libra Mars. Interesting. So first thing I would say, zoomed out. Saturn ruling the chart, for anyone who has that, their life is going to shift a lot. You were in 82, so the Saturn return would have been a big time for you, and like kind of coming out of your shell, metaphorically or physically. No, you probably don't live in a shell. But yeah, just like really like feeling more like ability to like express yourself. And kind of Capricorn risings can be not like always shy, but more cool and reserved, I guess you'd say. So yeah, but very responsible. Very responsible. I see a lot of similarities sometimes with like maybe it's just a social media thing. Like people who have Capricorn risings, I always think that they have Scorpio risings. I always guess them. But I think it's because like on social media you see kind of the midheaven. And my friend, she's a model from Colorado, and she like just looks like the most Scorpio person ever, but she's a Capricorn rising. So, and I've seen countless examples of that. So yeah, with that said though, and you have South Node in Capricorn, so you're trying to move away from Capricorn to Cancer. A lot of times that can indicate karmically like someone who was a different who there's lots of different things. Like one part is like it can indicate someone who was like a female or male, like a different sex, like issues around like gender in this life, around like maybe like having been a different gender in the last life, or a tendency in that in some gender, and kind of having some issues like connecting to the gender that they are. Then it can also speak to like, because North Node's in Cancer, South Node's in Capricorn, 1st house. Like you've definitely been this like big, like, I don't want to say like businessy, but like the Saturnian, right? Like the person who runs the show, who's probably more invested in like career and that like that realm, that more material realm, than they are invested in the realm of, what would you call it? The realm of the emotions, right? The realm of the emotions, which is Cancer, the feminine realm. So it's very important to take that risk, take those risks, and to move into a, like my girlfriend has the same North Node, and like I definitely see her in a way where like she's it's not that she's masculine, but she's, you know, very kind of dominant personality. And I think with Cancer North nodes, you know, especially in the 7th house, like you're really being asked to compromise more and to lean more into your feminine side. And that there's been like you've been like you've been like I think think of it like 1st house Capricorn South node is like the past life entrepreneur, like the person who just like, you know, made things happen, really cared about like their career and success. And of course, you know, like when I say that, like, you know, it's different. Like you know, like society is not like it's not like for sure like you lived during a time of capitalism, but you have to kind of adjust and like realize that, like, you know, whatever it was, like, you know, even if it was like, you know, 500 years ago, right? Like there's these things still existed, right? These energies are divine energies. So yeah, leaning more into your feminine side and making more compromises in relationships, you know, not always having to do everything on your own is very important. And that's kind of like, you know, like the North Node is like think of it like the karmic mountain top that you've never climbed, metaphoric mountaintop that you've never climbed. The South, that's the North Node, and the South Node would be more of like the been there, done that. And the question is, how can I use my South Node in Capricorn, you know, to get to my North Node in Cancer? Work-life balance, relationship independence balance, right? So aside from that, I'm starting. I love like my readings, and sometimes I start like with the sun and the moon. Sometimes I start like with the real karmic stuff, and then always like just like it's like swirls, but really the swirl becomes a puzzle, and everything just makes sense. And I just had like an absolutely fucking amazing reading. Like it was pure magic. I feel like most of my readings are. I'm not being arrogant. I'm just being honest. Like the more like when I'm in a flow where I'm doing like readings every night, you know, like you know, I have to take breaks sometimes. Like it's not even my choice. But when I'm in that flow, in that reading place, like I feel like, I don't know, I just like build momentum, and yeah. So hopefully this one will have the same magic as the last one. Oh, retrograde Mars, damn. So yeah, and let's talk a little bit more about the nodes. So the South Node ruler is Saturn in the 10th. There you go. So, you know, you're definitely a big time person in society. And lots of retrogrades. So that means that like a lot in your life, like there's lots of past life energies that were either like overly used or underused. And with South Node in Capricorn, I would imagine that a lot of these retrogrades are based on like being too in the material world and too far away from the divine, the oneness in past lives. And now you have the 12th house, Neptune, and that Scorpio, Jupiter on the midheaven, super strong. Yeah. And then of course, the Venus in Pisces. So, and the South Node ruler is a square the sun, yeah, and it's square Saturn. So it's literally like doubling down what I said of like this like over like maybe you're like this like kind of authoritative person, like a leader, like big time leader, maybe like someone who is like really in charge of a lot of people and whatever structure existed. And yeah, and there's a need to kind of like find balance, you know, and dive into these other you know, potentials and realities, and kind of yeah. The more divine, the more spiritual, esoteric, occult, whatever you want to call it, mystical sides of life. And a square with the sun in Taurus, we'll get to that. The south node ruler, north node ruler is the moon in Aries. Interesting. So yeah, that speaks double about like, yeah, the need for you to like really lean into your emotions in this life, really lean into like also like the past, you know, the past lives. Maybe past life regression therapy could be something very beneficial, or learning about your past lives, or at least like through this you'll learn about like the kind of trends. And I also think like the square with this, is it with the moon? Yeah, it could speak about like kind of like yeah, over dominance, you know, over dominance. And yeah. So going to the start, so sun and Taurus, you know, on the IC, you'll be very connected to your kind of childhood. Would have played a huge role in your life, and it's also very linked to past life. So it's like a very past life. There's a reason, a synchronistic reason why I you know, started with the nodes, is that it's a very karmic chart. Almost like, not like a do-over, but like really, you know, trying to kind of maneuver yourself into like a new realm of existing. It's so different than like what was you're used to. So sun and Taurus, you know, just overall, I don't really go into sun signs. I feel like people know enough about the sun signs, but you know, with Taurus, there's just that need to kind of like, that need to step into risks more, right? To step into risks, and because Tauruses can be a little bit too like in the here and now and all that stuff. So yeah, there's definitely a need to do that. One second. So with that said, you know, and you also have Mercury, Chiron there. So I think that like in Mercury, let's see the aspect of Mercury. Okay, nice. So yeah, like usually Mercury and Taurus people, they, you know, communication, and like they're more logical in terms of like kind of how they take in information and stuff like that. And one second. Sorry, one second. So yeah, basically there's a big need to kind of like to not like it's not saying that you're not meant to like succeed. I mean, all Taurus is like, you know, there is a level of like material success and stuff of that nature that you know, that they really like. But a big thing with Taurus is like is not just like relying on like the external. It's relying on the like the internal values, the internal self-esteem, right? Because like with Chiron there too, it usually speaks about how a lot of the pain can come from, I guess you could call it like issues with like self-esteem, and sometimes people like people can take that and try to overcompensate when it comes to you have Sun's opposite Pluto also, which is like another big one, right? A massive one, which has to do with power and power struggles, and trying to like kind of, because you know you have a 1 degree Sun, which is like the Aries energy, like in degree theory. So basically, like you know, a big part of your life is like not is understand is about surrender, and not always having to be like number one and pumping other people up, right? Because you're naturally like a very like leadership like kind of like you're someone who has that like kind of built in some water on second. So yeah, definitely a need to kind of like you know, with that North node to learn to hear other people's opinions, and to not like get into these like ego struggles, if you want to call them that, right? These ego battles. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. And yeah, like being like, you know, a Taurus Sun, Aries Moon is interesting because Aries Moon can be very, very impulsive, right? And I live with one girlfriend, so I know how it is. And there can be like anger that can be very, very, very assertive and very, very good for like just, you know, like on an emotional level, like there's a big need to have independence in your life and to be very pioneering. I need to like double check to see if there's like if my software is lying to me about different things. Yeah, it squares the ascendant, so that's interesting because like when your moon squares your ascendant, people might see you in a way, right, that's at odds with like your true emotional nature. Does that make sense? We can talk more about that like in the follow. And I'm gonna go to camera mode for a minute, reposition myself. Yeah. So yeah, definitely like a big need for that. And Black Moon Lilith is also, you know, in Sag, so it's like in the 12th house. So that can like Black Moon Lilith like in with Neptune. So like there's definitely a need to not like push your opinions too much on other people. You know you'll have like these belief systems. You know, in Placidus you would have like a lot of 9th house stuff going on, which is about like someone who really invests a lot. And even in this, in the whole sign, well, actually, no, in whole signs, it's all in the 10th, but like someone who like invests a lot in their like kind of like finding truth, right? Like in their truth seeking, and what can happen is that they can be so tied into that they can sometimes push their opinions on other people, which can be problematic. So it's all about like understanding, especially with the Aries moon, right? That everyone has their own time to come to their own conclusions. But yeah, like a lot of times with like the Pluto. 1 second. Ezra, what are you doing? What are you doing? The cat. Here she is. Tell me a secret about this chart. You guys have anything in common? Not really. Well, she has the Aries Mars, so yeah. But yeah, just overall, just like with that Pluto opposite Sun, which is probably your biggest. It is, well, you have Moon opposite Saturn too. So those are like your two biggest ones, and then also Mars square Neptune. Like basically with the sun opposite Pluto, like you can feel like the world is like opposing you and like your deepest wishes, and you can become very like explosive in your response, right? And it's all about control. And sometimes excuse my stretching nose, cat hair. It can come from like a parent, a father, like as a son, a lot of times the father that was very like on your ass about stuff. So yeah, well, the whole point of it is that it pushes you into like this death rebirth transformation, this kind of scorpionic process that like most of my clients have in some way. And yeah, like a lot of times as a child, you could have been like a victim of some kind of, like I said, powerful parent figure. And the challenge is to be powerful in a more positive sense of the word, right? Like internally powerful. And with Chiron, in Taurus, like with that opposition to it, it could create like these very explosive like back and forths, different people around power. And yeah, just learning to kind of deal with that is very, very important. And yeah, and then it all goes back to the Aries moon in the way that like the Aries moon is very like it's very, and like I said, squares. Is it only square Saturn? Or I mean opposes, not squares. Yeah, Pluto would be out of range. 1 second. So yeah, with the moon opposite Saturn, so moon Saturn hard aspects can make people feel like very melancholic. It can make them like feel misunderstood. There can be like depression. They can kind of feel like lots of emotional setbacks, like almost like they were like with the mother, like maybe with the mother, like feeling like abandoned, neglected, and like no matter how hard you try, like what am I trying to say? Like you try, like no matter how hard you try, you like there's like this like inability to like really feel like that warmth and that caring and all that the nurturing energy that you need. So you could have like lacked warmth and comfort from a parent figure, usually the mom in this case, is the moon, growing up. And what can happen is you can attract as a grown-up until it's like integrated, kind of cold, withdrawn partners. So the whole lesson here is about valuing yourself and having, and going into the emotions, right? And finding that love within yourself. And once again, like a big part of your chart, building up true self-esteem, where it's coming from within yourself. Like when you meditate, you see that the inner criticism or like the inner thoughts, right? And it's like the whole self-compassion part about treating yourself how you would treat a best friend. I'm gonna pause this really quick because I was gonna say goodnight to my girlfriend. Hold on. Okay, we are back in action. So as I was talking about, yeah, the Aries moon, a lot of times, like I said, with on its own, it can be problematic. It can create situations where you can clash with different people, and it's another one that needs because especially in the 4th house, there can be anger around family stuff, and it really, it's just another indication. It would be Placidus to be 3rd house, of just a need on one hand to speak your truth, to really get it out, but in a constructive way. You know what I mean? In a way that's like not like over the top, where you're finding this like groundedness within yourself. because you have air, you have Cap rising, which is in Taurus, you have good earth. So like relying on that, you have water, but then I don't see any fire. Any fire for like the nothing there. No. Yeah, what am I fucking talking about? You have, I just literally said you have Aries moon. So you have fire, water, you have everything. You have every element. So good job. No, I'll give you a speech about what it means to be missing an element. But yeah, relying on that groundedness to really like kind of help you out. So Mars, should I go to that? Yeah, that's the thing with Aries moon. It's like finding your voice, finding that, once again, going back to like the thing about values, like not relying too much on like finding the balance between like your goals and all that stuff, like in the material world, right? And then also in the esoteric world, because I feel like there's these two parts to you, right? So yeah, let's go back to share, or yeah, I'll flip back and forth. Come on, move. Okay, so here we have so you understand, like, the Taurus and Aries, like very different signs. One comes after the other. So one of them is about action, and the other one's about kind of consolidating from that. Like in the whole, I have a video, and if you remind me, I can send it to you, or you can just look at my videos, and it's called a zodiacal story. And I just talk about how when you actually follow the signs, like Aries to Taurus to Gemini to Cancer and so forth, like it tells the story that we all go through, like a universal story. And in that, Aries is the part that is about just kind of going out and just trying things, and just being kind of like being like that child, that innocent, like just the trial and error. And then after that, Taurus is where we come in and we kind of create almost like a value system, right? We kind of consolidate. We figured out a little bit about how, we found some things in that like Aries, very like your Aries moon, very, very independent, kind of just explorative part. And then we consolidate them and create values in Taurus. And then Gemini, we start to, speak and communicate and so forth. So yeah, find the balance between those two is very important. So yeah, so like I think the Aries, like Mars or Aries, excuse me, the Aries moon can be really, really grounded by having a sun in Taurus and Capricorn rising, because Aries moon can be off the rails, but at the highest vibe, Aries moon can be like so good for leadership, so good for just like being able to just shift your life, just like boom, like I'm making this decision, I'm just going with it, So very important. So then what do I see next? There's a big thing going on with your Mars. Do I want to go there? Yeah. So okay, so you have natal Mars retrograde. I think only 7 or 8% of people have that. So basically, and is an unaspected Venus also in Pisces. Damn. Okay, maybe I should talk about that first. Let me think for a second. Yeah, let's talk about the Venus first. Okay, so Venus in Pisces. So this is an interesting part of your chart, because Venus in Pisces, super artistic, super like when it comes to love, it's like the most romantic, like just, it's so romantic. It's so, it can fall very easily for people. Like it's just like, there's that kind of desire to kind of meld with other, right? to like become one. But one warning sign with, I don't care what the rest of your chart says, with that is the kind of rose-colored glasses in love, right? How there can be like a tendency to like, you need to like basically like be like, you like rely on your earth to like kind of be more be grounded when it comes to matters of the heart, because Venus and Pisces people, sometimes they can like have like, it's like during that like rose-colored part of the relationship where everything's all good, everything's butterflies, but it's only when you like live with someone, I'm like repeating my words from the last reading, that you really like get to truly know that person, you know? So that is huge. And yeah, just taking a more pragmatic, grounded approach to love in general is very, very, very important. More, or just like, yeah, having that approach, right? Very important. And just knowing that, yeah, there can totally be that tendency to fall really deep really fast. And it's not a bad thing, because, you know, when it's integrated, it creates someone who can be super romantic, who can see the beauty. Like, one thing with Pisces Venus people is that, and it's not, it's kind of isolating your chart. Like, it's like the only, you know, water placement. So like, besides, I mean, Jupiter's in Scorpio, but it's like of the inner planets. So I see it being like this part of you that's like very, yeah, very like very romantic, but like it's unaspected, right? Let me just double check that, because my program been fucking with me. I wouldn't say, I would say it squares Neptune, which makes perfect sense. 8 degrees, would you? Oh no, no. It's 7 degrees. It's definitely a square. Why the hell does my program have such small orbs for squares? Like, what the fuck? Either way, okay, so it squares Black Moon Lilith, and no, it's a 10. No, I'm reading it wrong. It's 10 degrees, so that's not gonna work. Yeah, I would say 8. I would go with 8. So I'm not gonna I'll kind of speak about that, but it goes with this exact theme, right? Like how relationships, like with an unaspected Venus, right, can be kind of like the have all be all, right? Like people who have that, they can just be like so relationship oriented that to the point where they're like judging their life success based on like how, you know, their relationships are doing. And that can be very problematic, right? For obvious reasons. And there can be like a somewhat of like an over, I don't want to say obsession, but just like just so relationship oriented. And descendant, you know, it's in Cancer, North Node's there too. So there is a purpose to it. Karmically, you are meant to really get into very karmic relationships, right? Like, you're meant to learn a lot of lessons of compromise and of leaning more into the feminine side of yourself through your relationships. You really have to watch out, because sometimes like Venus, and if that square is activated, it's a very, 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 like, you know, it's 10 degrees, so it's not like that tight, very loose square, but like still, you know, like it's about like when you like, there can be like confusion that can enter into relationships, and like also self-image, like there can be like how you value yourself basically. And you know, the key is to really learn to see yourself really clearly and really realistically. And like with having, like, you know, lots of very realistic points in your chart, namely like your ascendant and your yeah, like very straightforward, realistic, like, yeah, all like your big three are very, very, like, you know, realistic and pretty honest, like signs: Capricorn, Taurus, and Aries, right? Like, those aren't very delusional signs. I mean, Taurus kind of calls it how it is. Aries definitely calls it how it is, and Capricorn definitely calls it how it is. I'd say the most Aries, but Capricorn and Aries together, like, yeah. So I don't see that really being a problem, but like I would just like take note of that. The fact that it squares Black Moon, which isn't a planet, so it's still unaspected, just shows how like your kind of darkness can like in shadow side can come out in relationships when you're maybe being like, yeah, like just like with what in theme with what I've been saying, right? And how a lot of your darker sides, like which happens like nearly everyone in some way, because astrology showing it, can come out in romantic relationships. The stuff that's really associated with like, you know, the the moon you know, the parent stuff, like the moon opposite Saturn and the sun opposite Pluto. You know, that is really where it's at. That's the work that's needed. We can talk more about that. But yeah, overall, you know, just like in the third house, that gives like it's really good for communication. It gives like a sort of like, I guess like it makes someone very gifted, like when it comes to like writing or just communicating in general, like poetry, stuff like that, music. Like a creative outlet is definitely needed. And you have, you know, Taurus sun, which is ruled by Venus, right? Which is here in the fifth house of creativity. So if you don't have a creative outlet, like it's very important for you to have one, right? So yeah, that I can't stress that importance enough. Like I can't stress that enough. You mentioned health. So I see your sixth house ruled by Mercury. I mean, and then the 12th house also, like, you know, I think that like, you know, there's definitely like I'm not seeing anything that like I'm not like a health astrologer, but like, you know, I'm not like there's no planets in the sixth in any system really. Yeah. So just the fact that it's ruled by Mercury would speak about how your thoughts, your thought processes are very much connected to your state, your like actual health. So mental health would be like a big thing, and how that would show up in different ways. You know how like if you have like crack open the sparkling water. If you have like something like, let's say like an unhealed trauma. Like if you had like an unhealed trauma, for example, right? How that could show up as something like psychosomatic stuff is what the word I was looking for. That's kind of what I would say with Mercury, and just like sorting like, but like I don't really see, at least I haven't looked at the stars yet, but like, you know, and we'll see with other aspects. But yeah, nothing's popping up so far. We'll see in the continuation of the reading. And yeah, with love stuff, you know, I've talked about like the type, you know, that romantic thing with the Pisces, you know, like the type, like you definitely, you know, as the Aries moon, needs someone who's fun and adventurous, and but also like, you know, like someone who's very, where's your Juno at? Capricorn on your rising, so you can like definitely project like this very like goddess type energy. But also like, yeah, someone who is very much and it's conjunct your south node. So your, like I said, your partnerships will be very much based on karma and on the past lives. You know, it's 8 degrees, but still I really value Juno. Yeah, I would say that like there's the need for that deep romantic, like, but you really have to trust that person, you know. And like sometimes Venus and Pisces people can like expect perfection in someone, and they can get really disappointed when that person doesn't live up to their standards, right? And they see them like in this one light at the start, and then it kind of fades, and then they're like, what the fuck, you know? And it can lead like lots of disappointments in that realm. So that's one thing. Now, besides that, yeah, just an Aries moon in general, and having like, you know, being in Taurus, like, and everything kind of how it comes full circle with Juno in Capricorn, you're definitely gonna, you know, Juno's like kind of like your ideal mate. That's how I think about it. Like in like a like Venus is like dating, love language, things you value, while Juno, I just threw up in my mouth. Those, not nearly. It's like kind of nearly. Juno in Capricorn is like, you definitely want someone who it's first house, so it's just like Aries, so who's adventurous, who's pioneering in their own right. But yeah, someone who has their shit together, like someone who can provide like on like the material level, but who can also like come through in terms of like adventure, And if you're in a partnership right now, I would suggest, doing a compatibility reading, because those really can like like it's really, really different from individual to individual. And I always stress this, like when I talk about love, that like there's not one sign or like that's like good for you. It's more about just understanding like the big picture, right, of like what works and what doesn't work. So yeah. But yeah, the compatibility reading, it's like you definitely can go deeper because there's a synastry chart, but more importantly for me, like the composite, where it's like the combined chart between two people, and you can do that with anyone, whether it's like family or Mika, stop trying to go outside. You're not going outside. Bad girl. Business partners, friends, anyone, siblings, whatever. Also, speaking of siblings, Venus in the third house usually would mean like a very nice relationship with siblings. So yeah, maybe even a spiritual one. And also like, yeah, it would indicate like typically like a good kind of like early like schooling environment a lot of times. Okay, going forward, Mars retrograde in Libra. Ooh la la. So I talked about earlier about like karmically how you've been very dominant. You've been very much, I don't want to say selfish, but very much like in the position of power, and like kind of like think like CEO type level, like, right, or like more politician. I don't know, whatever. So having Mars retrograde, it means that you either overuse or underuse the Mars archetype, which Mars is about action, assertiveness, things of that nature. So when it's retrograde in a chart, it can this one's pretty obvious. It's that you probably overused that. And the squares were the moon and Saturn. Yeah. So with the nodes squaring the moon in Aries, maybe you were very impulsive, and maybe you made decisions that were too quick and that weren't based enough on your true principles. So in this life, at least for like the first 30 years, or like usually like till the Saturn return ish, that's kind of like when a lot of stuff kind of starts to, like, people kind of really truly move into their real selves. There's like this like Mars and Libra on its own is very indecisive, right? So my girlfriend has the same thing as you. This is very funny, where it's like very, very like like it can be very, very dominant, very, very fiery, but then like lots of like issues with like making decisions. So it's like on one end very assertive, very action oriented, impulsive, but on the other end like difficulty with making decisions. And like Mars and Libra can be quite people pleasing, even though I don't see any other parts of your chart that indicate that. Mika, stop trying. Speaking of Aries, you need some Libra in your chart. Okay, stop trying to go outside. You're not going outside right now, Mika. Okay, you're gonna literally go outside. My computer's set in front of the door, and then you're gonna try to come back in after 30 seconds, just to show your scorpionic dominance over me. No, Mika, stop. This is Aries Scorpio. Never, ever gives up. That's your Aries moon, right? Never. Is also Aries moon. Thank you, Mika, for reminding me of something about Aries moon. It creates a warrior, an internal warrior that will never give up. They will just keep fucking, like, they just never give up. I've seen this in so many women's charts of like very powerful women who just like, yeah, they can get down, life can bring them down, but they always pop back up. They're super resilient people. Internally powerful. And that can, scare some people, be intimidating. But yeah, back to what I was saying. So like, yeah, I definitely think that like the retrograde, like it kind of pushes kind of that action more in, and can make action, it can kind of create a level of stagnancy potentially. Definitely want to hear about this in the follow-up, so make sure you remind me to talk about this and your experience with it. But Mars and Libra on its own, in the 10th house, like it wants to have things more balanced. So that's like the opposite of your moon, right? The moon is more about, it's more about just kind of having things direct. But then the Mars and Libra is like, no, I want to consider everything. So yeah, and then the retrograde, and then the fact that, go back to my face for a little bit. Mika, stop. Seriously, stop, Mika. Stop. Yeah, so the retrograde, the fact that it squares Black Moon Lilith, no, it doesn't square Black Moon Lilith, it just squares Neptune. So that is it's interesting because when we speak about that one, right? A lot of people like tie it to like escapism, addiction, but like in my clients, I haven't seen that. I usually see it as like I don't know, maybe like the father or the mother was like into substances, and they like a lot, like it's interesting, right? Because like a lot of people have that and they have substance issues, but like with this, and even like the sun opposite Pluto can create that too, but or have gone through that. But like in my clients, a lot of them have had this aspect. It has been the opposite, which is so crazy. But yeah, it also gives like great creative power. But yeah, there's a huge need to avoid drugs and alcohol. And just be really careful about like what you consume. Speaking of health, like there can be like allergies to different foods and intolerances, stuff like that. So that's kind of like some health stuff right there, right? But yeah, overall, like when you combine them like in a positive way, it can make someone who's just like like really fighting for injustices and really like trying to like very, very brave, right? But also scandalous. And yeah, fighting for like a worthy cause, and not like having your passions like bound by like traditional standards, right? Like yeah. And you have to really like with this one, there's like a big like fighting discouragement is huge. Like there can be like losses like and disappointment. So like it's really important like to lean after like any disappointment, to lean into that Aries moon, not be too hard on yourself, not not because this one can also be about like self-victimizing, self-blaming. Like you have to like wait, like like when you have like clashes, like wait until you're able to calm down and then think rationally about why, and like really get introspective about why things happen the way they did. A lot of times it's like misunderstandings that come up. Also with this, you have to avoid gossiping, like talking about people behind their back, because it can create like a suspicion from other people that you do that. So you have to really stay away from gossip, lies, all that stuff. Also, it's like it's a big test of faith and having self-faith, right? Like when you feel scared or vulnerable or weak, just like about like really strengthening that kind of like spiritual faith that everything is going to be okay. And obviously it's easier said than done, but like having that awareness, and self-confidence, right? That gives you like the victim to really have that courage to stand up, right? And not be the victim in different situations. But yeah, also with that one, like, yeah, it can create someone who has a difficulty, especially in Libra, trusting their ability to go after things in a direct manner. And also pinpointing exactly what it is that they want, right? Like there can be like a lack of self-confidence, or feeling like I don't deserve this, fearing rejection, and also just like a very powerful imagination with your 12th house Neptune. But like the lesson is like, how can I learn to trust my instincts, right? Because like there can be like this thing where you can like imagine how things can go wrong, but also like the opposite, like fantasizing about like amazing things. But yeah, like also usually a lot of times like sexual experimentation is likely, like being like interested to like the mysteries of life, the occult, esoteric. And yeah, it's like yeah, very like it can create sometimes like a bottomless pit, especially as a Taurus, like hedonistic tendencies. So yeah, just like moving more into the spiritual realm, right? And like that's, yeah, like moving away from like any kind of addiction to like the fantasy. Like you'll have like the strong imagination, but like channeling that in a good way, and like a more, positive kind of escapism, right? And it's all about, yeah, getting in touch with your heart, finding your true desires, and then realizing that sensations are only really sensations. Okay. Yeah, the retrograde is very interesting how that kind of combines with that. Because I imagine there's probably this real like push and pull between like doing and not doing. And like a lot of people with Mars retrograde can be quite like, especially Mars and Libra, can be like very indecisive, as I said, So it's interesting that you have your moons in Aries. Okay. And Sun's also opposite Jupiter, so that for that one you have to watch out for like being overly like risk-taking, overly expansive, and yeah, just like overly extravagant. Also like with spending tendencies, and yeah, like kind of like overbearing on people, like and just like the energy of someone who like walks into the casino and thinks I'm automatically gonna win. So it can be someone who takes too many risks. So that's important to know too. But it's also like when integrated, like very good for leadership. Like I have this square, so it's kind of similar, and I call it Superman syndrome, where it's like I feel like I can take on anything, right? And then my body says no, or during certain periods where it's like no, So it's similar with the opposition. Okay, what have I not touched on? So yeah, I mean, part of fortune, is that, no, it's 24, isn't it? Yeah, we'll see after. But yeah, having that like in the first house, that's just like kind of further confirmation that like the highest energy of Capricorn in the first house is like where your flow state is. So it's like, even though it is your south node, there is still this big like part of you that needs to have independence, that needs to find themselves, that needs to like release yourself from like past life conditioning. And then also like the high energy of Capricorn, which is being honorable. I think I made that mistake twice. And just having integrity in what you do, and really, really like serving and having success that is really, really linked to your truest heart. Okay, so in that 10th house also, you have in your midheavens here, 11th, you have Pluto, and Saturn. So Saturn 10th house, in Placidus it would be the 9th house, which is like great for astrologers and for people who like take like a more serious approach and to like understanding the esoteric and like the grand truth. And Pluto there would speak, to like in Placidus, to like someone who really like has spent lots of past lives in different cultures, and like it's really, really big for them to explore and to find like the greater truth. But in whole sign, you know, Saturn 10th house just makes one very, very capable. Anything related to career, even like the Mars in the 10th house, it's like there can be like some darkness, and it's ruled by Libra, so it's ruled by Venus. So you're getting that nice push from your Venus ruling your 10th. But the career can like, there can be lots of setbacks until like the Saturn return, but then it can create like, it's the best house to have Saturn in, the 10th. And yeah, it can just create someone who really like who's just really, really capable. I don't know how else to say it. Who's really, really capable, very, very responsible, who can create structures, and it comes easily to you with your South Node in, you know, your South Node is ruled by it. You know, your South Node is in Capricorn, so like Saturn rules your South Node. So I definitely think that that's showing up in this life too. It's just about finding that balance. I might as well just finish this reading with camera, or not finish. We'll talk a little bit. But yeah, like Mars in 10th house, like regardless of whatever the Mars is doing, it's still going to be, you know, this massive push towards, you know, career, and very ambitious, seeking power through your career. It can be like a battle for the top position, and really, really needing lots of independence in your career. But also with the Saturn 10th house, like until the Saturn return, there can be like lots of fear of public failures, and approaching like everything like in career with lots of caution, early setbacks that creates, like I said, like a very hardworking, respectable, you know, place in society in your career. And with the Pluto in the 10th, it's like literally about like how you're meant to be like a very powerful leader, you know, pretty much. I see this in lots of charts, like very, very powerful people, politicians and stuff like that. And but you also have to watch out for like being overbearing in that area, you know, being overly powerful and putting too much on other people. And learning to like cooperate, which brings me to your 11th house, you know, with Jupiter conjunct your midheaven. That is literally the best fucking thing for career, like one of the best things, because Jupiter is the planet of luck, expansion, and to have it on your midheaven, it literally says that like, and your midheaven's in the 11th house in whole signs, so it's like, you know, you're definitely gonna like it's, you're meant to like work as a team in a way, like to kind of have a team, a squad, you know, maybe even like a humanitarian kind of approach to your career, like something that in some way, like where you're working with other people, right? Not just alone. So that's like what your North Node 7th house, maybe there's business partners, I don't even know, just clients, whatever. But that would give you lots of luck and lots of expansion. It's very, very good for money, very, very good for power, and just like meeting the right people that help push you towards that midheaven in Scorpio, which is, you know, about, you know, really like being very, very passionate and intense about what you're doing. You know, there's like a big need for recognition in your work, and a real ability to dig deep, 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 deep into whatever you're interested in, whether it's like research, and or just get really intense in whatever kind of work you're doing. So a lot of times, yeah, research or like something public can feature in the chosen career. Who knows? Politics, you never know. But yeah, it's very, very good to have that there. It does oppose the sun, so you have to watch out for like, yeah, being overly, like I said before. Uranus in the 12th, I mean, that's like the ultimate like downloads, like getting in, like when you're able to like meditate and get into that like stillness, like you'll get these intuitive flashes, right? It's very, very like, this is a very spiritual part of your chart, right? Neptune and Uranus in the 12th. And yeah, it's all about like probing really deep into like the collective human psyche, and doing it in like in an unusual fashion. And yeah, Neptune loves, or Uranus and Neptune love being in the 12th because it's a boundless house, and yeah, it can create like psychics, it can create people who just are able to like really have like a more liberated experience when it comes to like the exploration of the hidden realms. And with Neptune, it's similar, but you know what can happen is that there's this like really compassionate nature, this unbelievable ability to just be so tapped into the zeitgeist, you know. But sometimes it can make one overwhelmed by like the undercurrents of the world because they can be so tapped in, and that can lead to like, you know, escapism. So, but like overall, like, you know, it can bring like psychic powers. You know, I talk about it in my recent post. Like, I think it was a recent post. And I did. Didn't I talk about it yesterday? Where is it? Yeah, I wrote. Let's see if I can find. Yeah, so Jupiter like is like natural psychologist. I wrote. Probing deep into the secrets and taboo areas of life. Also, like very like interested in like sexuality and different forms of it. Usually, it's areas that like scare most people, but they have like, you know, the Jupiter and Scorpio has like this flashlight to navigate like the hidden realms, and that's also what Neptune does there. And I wrote Neptune in the 12th house. 100% psychic. It can be the impetus to spiritual awakening. This is the natural home, although it can create an energy where the person is overwhelmed by the energy and feels lost and doesn't recognize their powers. But these are the people who must, in caps, tap into their dreams, as there may be prophetic dreams. The 12th is the house responsible for all things that are laying beyond the nave's conscious mind, and the ethereal presence of Neptune awakens abilities that are connected with their own or her own deeper layers, but also with the collective unconscious of mankind. It can make someone a great psychologist, but a very strong receptor for spiritual energies. But it's a double-edged sword, right? I talked about like the self-deception and escapism, right? So yeah, and then I talked about Black Moon Lilith already, kind of just like in the 12th. You know, you have to watch out for you have to have spiritual protection. Don't flaunt anything like that you have like material or good in your life. Don't flaunt it. And also like this can be about escapism and drugs too, like being apt to whatever, like drugs or whatever kind of escapism it is, you know, be shopping, more like around like the imaginary world, right? And just the need to like really like be grounded and focus on like mundane matters. And yeah, and then Sag already talked about that. Like it can also be like about like just throwing yourself, like I said before, into so many new ventures, and then like it's just too much, and that can like yeah, it can be like someone who's like somewhat reckless in their pursuit of their own goals, and just trying to do too much at once, too risky, maybe too blunt in their approach to life. So yeah. Yeah, I talked about that one. So okay, let's see what's going on with the stars. If there's any big stuff going on. Okay, let's see here. Not seeing anything so far. Lust conjunct, oh man, Venus. Now that can create an energy that it speaks for itself, you know, where yeah, there can be like lots of lust and I don't really need to say more. You know, very, very sexual, and super attractive, and it can kind of create energy where like people can become like obsessed with you, and just like yeah, sexuality just playing like a huge role in your life. Aside from that, I need to like look deeper at my other star files. Let's see anything. Let's go to Jesse. That's the other file I have. Oh yeah, you have Neptune conjunct the galactic center, so that just like you know, just makes you even, it just makes you even more tapped in. You know, it's Neptune, the planet of dreams, connected to like the galactic center. It's just like just being so connected to, like you could literally be a psychic. One sec. I'm looking for something here. Yeah, so there's not that much information, but like, you know, the galactic center is still being researched a lot. It's like a supermassive black hole at the center of the galaxy. So when there's like a planet, you know, that conjunct it's in it, it just like it adds like a, you know, more, it's good. It just adds more of like of a spiritual meaning when it's already Neptune. Like it means you can like really connected to like the galaxy, like you know, like the not even just the Earth big picture, like the whole big picture, like collects is super good for like studying astrology or anything esoteric. Let's see anything else. Okay, I don't see, so let's just go into my screenshot that. Okay, so six, so let's get your sun in midheaven. So 6 for each, which also is Virgo, so that adds kind of some pragmatism to your kind of approach in career and approach in everyday life. So 6 Cap and 6 Scorp. Let's see if I see anything. These are probably the more minor ones. Here's one. And here's another. So these are so with the one that's conjunct your ascendant, let's see if there's any information on it. There's not. It says exaggerative, argumentative, unreliable, luck, a very quick mind, great talker. It causes unreliability, changeability, argumentative. Let me see if I can find anything. A star of penetration of secrets. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. And then with Caus Borealis at 6 Cap, it says, wow. So with the midheaven, high ecclesia, I'm sorry, I can't read this word. Ecclesiastical honor? The fuck does that mean? Yeah, I'll use words like that. Ecclesiastical, relating to the Christian church or its clergy. Okay. Spiritual, basically, was a synonym. High spiritual honor, martial preferment, prosperity in business, promoter of idealistic and humane ideas. So a good one. Che Guevara had it, so John Lennon. So maybe that one's a pretty good one. And then 1 Taurus and 11 Aquarius. So your 11 Aries. So your 11 Aries moon will have the energy of Aquarius a little bit. So it'll be like more like also about like collective and stuff like and all that, and humanitarianism and friends. It's important to have friends. Okay, so there's not any at 11:42. Yeah, nothing there. And then with Taurus, I see at 1:53 Mira and Mirage, but more Mira. Let's see if there's anything on Mira. It gives very little information. I feel like I had this the other day. One day the marvelous star. Prudence, perseverance, versatility, progressive spirit, endurance in solving difficult problems. This fixed star is unhelpful, and unhelpful connections will bring failures, fiascos, and enmity, especially with Saturn transits when linked with the moon. Okay, it doesn't. The moon, the sun. It doesn't give anything with the sun. Okay. And what about Mirak? That one was further away, but it has more of a influence. And it says, trouble through the opposite sex, disappointments in expectations, but otherwise favorable, which totally goes with things I've said. And it also says this touches the pineal gland, the pituitary gland, and the area of the body affected by the fixed star vertex. It's not a fixed star vertex, it's not a fixed star. These persons are continuously open to the spiritual realm and would have a difficult time functioning on the earth plane. They hear voices constantly, and without an understanding of this reality, they can be considered insane. Okay. Michelangelo had this. They can be very creative, personal beauty. And I'm not gonna remember any of these, by the way, like the fixed star stuff. So yeah. Kind of out of this world energy, really, really spiritual healer energy. Also really, really important to protect themselves spiritually, which I talked about before. Yeah, okay. Take that one with a grain of salt. And then we'll just look at 26 and 16. So last one I'll talk about, where they just pop up. Akamar is on the Venus. Is there anything about it? No, there's not. But Akamar in general, oh, it's a really good one. Happiness and success, good morals, philosophical inclinations. Really good for high office, and really good for career. So yeah, that kind of makes sense. Cool. Well, that's about it. Thank you so much. I look forward to the follow-up and turn astro. So it's been a pleasure. Wow, 117. I'm trying so hard to keep reading this to like 75 minutes. But I always just like go for too long, and longer than this isn't necessarily better, you know? But I guess, you know, you didn't have like that many like big aspects. So it made it more possible. Anyways, thank you. Talk soon. You know, take notes, do everything you need to do, watch as many times as you want, and then we can set up that session. All right. Ciao.